Hello there, movie fans. Thanks so much for clicking on episode Side Flick. My name is Chris. Let's dive into some of the movie news we've got to discuss here today. Some of the things we're going to be talking about here is we have an update on Deadpool 3, the writers letting us know what it's like making a rated R movie with Disney. We got Stephen King talking about the Pennywise prequel headed to HBO Max. Finally, some casting updates on Scream 6. Morbius becoming the most morbid movie in the world. That along with so much more. So I'm going to need you Morb heads to give me your Morbians down below. Don't be forgetting to hit that Morb. Long live Morbius Morbin time.
Have sex, excel, put my hands against,
I'm sorry, I just had to get it out of my system because it appears the Morbius jokes are now dead. Because jumping into our first update here today, I really was curious to see what kind of box office pull re-releasing Morbius would have on the world when everybody seems to be memeing the heck out of the Marvel legend Morbius. And to no one's surprise at all, Morbius continues to make history by becoming the first movie to flop twice. It's currently being reported that Morbius on its re-release won't even make a total of $1 million this whole weekend it is out right now for the public. Sony and Jared Leto even thought they could get in on the joke, get people talking, make a viral moment by having Jared Leto read a script that read, "Morbius 2, it's Morbin time." I said it in my standalone Morbius video, once the actual company starts memeing with us, the joke is dead. But can you really kill Morbius, Marvel legend? Still, to me, this will be one of the funniest chapters in movie history. One of those moments that we'll be able to pass down to our child, grandchild. We tell them about the ugly Sonic situation and his eventual rebirth. Then we move on talking about how they managed to get all three Spider-Men into one movie and the whole world spoiled it for themselves before that movie was released. And then you move on to the chapter about Morbius the Marvel legend and blow their minds.
intriguing.
Ending result here, I think this is the proof we need that Sony is not going to push forward with a second Morbius movie. I doubt we will ever see Morbius the Marvel legend again in any spin-offs. I think he's just going to be a character that flat out disappears in this Sony spin-off universe. But I throw it off to you guys. How do you feel about Morbius flopping? Do you think this means Sony is not going to want to move forward with a sequel? And do you think the joke is really dead? Moving on to our next story here, we have an update for a remake of a popular Spider movie. Bloody Disgusting here has it that Happy Death Day filmmaker Christopher Landon directing Arachnophobia Remake. Now in my mind, there's always two different people in this world. You either grew up loving and rewatching Eight-Legged Freaks, the David Arquette movie with the giant spiders. That movie needs to be remade, okay? Or you are a more sophisticated type and checked out Arachnophobia and enjoyed that more. The original film was about these foreign South American spiders that are brought to America. They start to overpopulate and then they just get everywhere. I think Christopher Landon has made some fun horror comedies. I like the first Happy Death Day, wasn't a big fan of the second one. I really like his latest movie, Freaky, so I'm kind of optimistic about this one because, like, who doesn't have some sort of spider phobia or get creeped out by them? I just wonder how they'll handle it for this modern age because all I could think about is just a room filled with CGI spiders, and that is just so unscary and kind of overused. I feel like even in the latest Stranger Things season, they had a scene involving a bunch of CGI spiders going everywhere. It didn't creep me out because they were CGI. But I throw it off to you guys. Are you excited for Arachnophobia being directed by Christopher Landon? And do you think they'll only use CGI spiders? Something else I wanted to bring up real quick is we got a TV spot for Jordan Peele's upcoming horror movie, Nope. Now, I'm still really excited to see this movie. Jordan Peele to me always delivers, brings me an entertaining film that also creeps me out. And with this latest TV spot, it basically confirms, yes, it will be aliens in the movie. We see here Daniel Kaluuya's character running away on a horse from a UFO, a classic looking UFO if you ask me, one that you would see in like the early 50s and 60s movies. And this has baffled a lot of us who have been looking forward to Nope and dissecting the trailer, trying to figure out what's been going on. Because when you go into a Jordan Peele film, there's twists and turns and everything is not always as it seems. But without spoiling the movie for myself, I've been hearing from people who've seen test screenings, which again, I did not want to know too much information because all the fun of this film is finding it out. They've been saying that this movie is a little more straightforward than the trailers make it out to be. That some people, when they saw that first trailer, were like, oh, I bet you the aliens are just a misdirect. There's probably something bigger. There's something else going on here. No way it's just gonna be aliens. Looks like it just will be aliens. And some people might get disappointed watching this going, oh, I thought there was going to be a bigger secret or another reveal here. But I throw it off to you, Jordan Peele horror fans. How do you feel about this footage for Nope? Does it make you think maybe there still is a misdirect? Is there something bigger going on? And how would you feel if it's just a movie about aliens? From there, talking about a sequel to one of my favorite horror franchises, Scream 6. Now, this film is set to be filming this summer in Montreal, Canada, and I am like so teeved off, we have not got an announcement of the full new cast. If you're a Scream fan, that's one of the things you love seeing is this new cast, trying to figure out, alright, who's Ghostface, who's surviving, what's going on. But everything involving this movie is set to be kept very hush-hush, almost like the people making this movie learned from the previous film that had a lot of set photos, couple of leaks thrown out here and there, even the occasional people that swear up and down as soon as they announced the original cast, they knew who would live and die and who was Ghostface.
Okay, really smart people who know everything by looking at some stuff.
But it's your fault they're not announcing the whole cast and keeping it all a secret, leaving me out to dry. Well, thankfully, some casting announcements are still being let out through the grapevine because we just got a new one. It's being reported here that Dermot Mulroney has been cast in the latest Scream film as a cop. That's all the information we're really given about his character, so I'm assuming he's supposed to fill in the role of Dewey Riley, most likely being the new sheriff or cop who deals with Ghostface once he starts popping up and attacking our main characters. Which to me already makes him suspicious because no way anyone could ever replace or fill in the shoes of Dewey Riley, so I got my eye on you, man. I'm just gonna sound like a broken record here and mention this every time. I just want Scream 6 to mix up that formula, change things up. It feels like they're doing something really different by hiding the entire cast. There's rumors they start filming Monday, so they're wanting to keep everything super hush and quiet, which I know in the end is for the best so that we can be surprised with this movie. I just would hate all this secrecy for another formulaic Scream film that follows the same tropes and doesn't bring anything new to the table. But I have faith they're gonna make it work, so what do you guys think about this actor joining Scream 6 as a cop? Something that made me really happy to hear about is we have here the writers of the past two Deadpool movies talking about what it's like working with Disney making this rated R movie, and they could not be happier. When talking to Den of Geek, they were asked about what it was like making a rated R Disney movie and if there has been any pushback on the script. And they said here, don't worry about that. They've been very supportive with regards to that. Now, when it comes to a particular joke, if we cross the line, maybe we'll hear at some point, maybe not that joke, but I think they've been incredibly supportive of what we're doing because obviously we were doing it separate from them for a long time. And I think they've seen the success and they've had their own even greater success. So hopefully it'll be a marriage made in heaven, but we've definitely gotten their support and that's a great thing to feel. It's still kind of hard to wrap my head around that Disney right now owns Deadpool and they're being extremely supportive about a rated R movie. I cannot wait to hear some of these MCU jokes. You know they're gonna make fun of Kevin Feige. I can't wait for Deadpool to basically make Kevin Feige canon. But another interesting tidbit about this interview that I found interesting, I don't see a lot of people talking about, is if you've been following Deadpool 3's development, you know that these original writers of the first two movies were not originally hired for the script. The first draft of the movie was written by the Bob's Burgers writers, and then after a while we heard that it was going to be rewritten by this original crew. In the interview, they asked here exactly why that happened and if the Bob's Burger writers will still be credited with the story or were they just dropped out. And all they said is there's actually a story reason why that had to happen, but if they explain it, they'll be giving away something about the movie, and that has got my mind racing. Because in my gut, I kind of have a weird feeling like I know what Deadpool 3 is going to be about. Because I thought maybe after Multiverse of Madness, there'd be a clear way for Deadpool to kind of jump over to the MCU and be there, but that kind of didn't really happen. And I think it also would just be weird if X-Men and people like Deadpool randomly appeared in the MCU. So there's got to be something where we transition Deadpool from the Fox universe over to the MCU, and that's where I go to the comic book Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. This is a great little one-off story if you haven't read it. Basically, it's Deadpool just losing his mind and deciding everybody in the Marvel Universe should die. I feel like we're gonna get Deadpool Kills the Fox Universe. Something along those lines where for some reason Deadpool just has to get rid of this old universe and he can jump over. That's just a speculation I make up for in my mind of why Kevin Feige would want to hire new writers to tell a new story, but then needs to hire old writers who understand the old Fox continuity, like there ever was some, and then fix that up in their new script. I don't know, but the plot for Deadpool 3 I think has got to be one of the ones I'm really curious to hear about, because how do they explain that? You guys give me your best guesses. movies. And here, talking about something that has probably got us all extremely anticipated, is HBO Max working on this Pennywise prequel titled Welcome to Derry. If you haven't heard about this yet, it's being reported that Warner Brothers is making an HBO Max prequel involving Pennywise, where we actually see it, the creature, land on Earth for the very first time, and how he decides to choose a clown as his shape-shifting form of choice, the first victims he ever got to, how he eventually just leads into meeting the Losers Club. All really exciting stuff, and we've had Stephen King here do an interview with the Losers Club podcast where he basically details his involvement with the series. He says here, "Well, I don't have a relationship to Pennywise now," King tells the Loser Club podcast, "because I have no intention to going back to it. It's in the hands of people who are doing this. Andy and Barbara Muschietti, the director and producer of the last 8 movies, are going to do Welcome to Derry. They're talking about it anyway, and they've got sort of a handshake deal, I think, with HBO Max. It's an interesting possibility to do that. They've talked about a prequel, which struck me as an okay idea. I'd love to see what Pennywise was up to 27 years before the 50s, or I guess it would be the 80s because they updated the setting. So it would be, you know, before World War II or something. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And I feel like that might let some people down, because Stephen King was attached and involved with the previous 2 It movies, so far as where he would make a cameo, but when it comes to the series coming to HBO Max, he doesn't really want to be involved in it and has no intention to revisiting Pennywise. It's also awesome that he confirmed something we've been hearing and talking about here on the channel before we knew it was going to be an HBO Max series, is that Warner Brothers was really trying to make this into a prequel movie, where it's basically the same storyline we're going to get in the show of Pennywise back in the 50s or 60s chasing down his first couple of victims. But then again, Stephen King being attached isn't something that always guarantees his projects to do amazing. At least he didn't badmouth the project or say it's a bad idea. He said he's interested to see how it turns out, so he's not involved, but he's also approving of it happening. I throw it off to you, Stephen King Pennywise fans. How do you feel about the Welcome to Derry series and Stephen King not wanting to be involved? But that is all the movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Check out the Jurassic Park review videos if you haven't already. I'm doing all of them leading up to Jurassic World Dominion. Really appreciate you guys to check that out, but don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films, and as always, I'm Chris. Take care.